Hey friends, welcome. What if Naruto was older half-brother after became King of Wrath movie? The Moby Dick, the flagship of the strongest pirate man in the world, Edward Whitebeard Newgate, was moored in the bay of the west end of the empire, the seafront that lead to the territories on the Yonko and the Navy. Sitting in the chair at the back was the man himself, with a bounty of nearly 2 billion. Barry was looking at one of his sons. Taking drink of his very large say cup, he sat it down. Standing before him was a young man of 19, standing at 63, spiky blonde hair, 3 whisker-like marks on each cheek, sea blue eyes, a large grin on his face, wearing a orange button-up shirt, black tie, black pants. On his side was a blue sheathed katana with a twisting spiral hilt. Are you sure you want to do this, Naruto? Yeah, I've been living in the New World for the last 5 years as a pirate and even have a bounty, said Whitebeard. The young man before him smirked. Sure pops, I need to return to the empire and right things there. Besides, the world government and the empire have a standing agreement that they won't interfere with each other. My bounty of 600 million means dick here. Besides, the King of Wrath has little to fear here, said Naruto with a smile. Even so, be careful brother Naruto, said Marco the Phoenix, right hand of Whitebeard. Naruto grabbed his duster that he gained from a navy commander and put it on. It was white with the kanji for wrath on the back. Maybe I'll see you again pops, Marco, ace, said Naruto before jumping into the air and kicking off it as if it was a solid platform. Whitebeard smirked. What a cheeky brat. Ace set sail for the New World, said Whitebeard. You got it pops, said Fire Fist Ace. 1. Location. Empire continent. Place. Village in west of Empire. Time. 0900, 4 days later. Naruto awoke from his sleep at the inn he was staying at before looking around. Laying in the bed with him was a dark-haired beauty that looked around his age. Naruto sighed as he looked around the arena and saw clothes scattered about the room. Another great night with a woman I barely know, said Naruto getting out of the bed. Naruto quickly dressed and made his way downstairs. Taking a seat at one of the tables, Naruto ordered a meal as the barmaid quickly went back to begin cooking his steak and biscuits. While the young man was waiting, he leaned back in his chair, trying to catch a bit of information. One of the things he learned under Whitebeard was how to get information by just listening. Most of what he heard was unimportant. Trades made, deals struck. Danger beasts on the rise. He was about to give up until the next bit caught his ear. 3 soldiers talking not far away. The other official bit the dust yesterday, said the leader of the soldiers, if his rank insignia was any indication. Damn night raid, said the other guard, slamming his hand on the table. They've been running wild lately and the officials are just looking at ways to grab more power. Take it easy buddy, you know that the big guys don't like us talking about this outside of the capital, said another soldier taking a drink of his. Aye, besides the perks of being a soldier are currently quite nice, said the leader. I just wish y'd let me have a taste of the girl we caught boss, said ST1. Not until she wakes up. I want to hear her screams as I break her virginity. Been a while since I had a little backwoods country girl like her, said the leader. Still hard to believe that the North breeds them like that though. Still hard to believe that her and her friends got separated taking on King class danger beast. Not even a Tengu user is stupid enough to take one of them on, said the ST2 too. This caught Naruto's attention. Standing up, he set his sword inside of his belt before walking over to the men. Excuse me friends, I couldn't help but overhear your conversation, said Naruto. The leader stood up. Anyone ever tell you it's not polite to listen to others' conversation? It might lead to your death, yelled the man, drawing a dagger and going to stab Naruto. Naruto didn't bother to move as the tip of the blade hit his skin and broke into pieces. The 3 men looked on in shock as they saw this. Naruto smirked as he raised his hand. If you're going to try and kill someone, make sure they won't try back. Air shotgun, yelled Naruto, punching the air 3 times. Within the span of a second, all 3 soldiers had multiple holes in their bodies, as if they had been hit by bullets. Not one person in the bar felt sorry for the men. All 3 fell to the ground dead. Everyone else in the bar looked at the now dead soldiers as Naruto began to loot their bodies. Combined they had a few thousand in cash, 3 revolvers and rifles. Naruto gave the rifles to the owner of the bar before making his way to the room the girl was supposed to be in. Naruto went into their room and found the girl in question. She was tied up and her mouth was gagged. She was up and glaring at Naruto. Naruto had to admit that she was quite the beautiful girl. She probably stood at about 52, moon pale skin, with C-cup breasts, long creamy legs and a booty that fit her body. Her hair glossy black that flowed like a river to the middle of her back. Dark eyes that were narrowed in anger as she struggled against her bindings, wearing a lavender-colored kimono with slits near the shoulders, black stockings that went to her thighs, black boots, and a white butterfly clip in her hair. Naruto removed the gag only for the girl to bite his hand. Naruto yelped in pain before removing his hand and placing the gag back in place. Naruto looked at the bite mark that was bleeding as his hand slowly healed. Thanked the ancestors for his mother's healing factor. Naruto looked the girl dead in her eyes and saw her spirit. Already Naruto had a feeling that this girl was going to be a pain in the ass. Hey girl, I'm not here to hurt you, I'm here to help, so I'm going to remove the gag, bite me again, and it'll knock you cold, okay? Asked Naruto with narrowed. The girl nodded as Naruto removed the gag and her bindings. Once out of the binding she rubbed her wrists. Who are you? Asked Sayo looking at Naruto while crossing her legs. The short answer is that my name is Uzumaki Naruto. The long answer is a bit more difficult and would take way too long to explain, said Naruto sitting down in his own chair. You never told me who you are. My name is Sayo, said the girl. Where do you hail from, girl? Your skin makes me think that you're not from the hotter area of the west, said Naruto. Sayo nodded. You're correct, as I don't hail from this part of the empire. I used to reside at the edge of the empire in the northern territory from a small village, said Sayo. Naruto rubbed his face. You're a long way from home, Sayo-chan, said Naruto, only to be blasted into the wall by a powerful right straight. Naruto got up and got in her face. What the hell, you little she-devil. Sayo glared at Naruto. No one calls me Chan and gets away with it, said Sayo, getting up and dusting off her dress. Now if y'all would be so kind, I need an escort to the capital. Please take good care of me, Naruto-senpai, said the dark-haired girl trying to be cute. What the hell is wrong with this girl? Thought Naruto as he looked at the innocent smile that the dark-haired beauty had on her face. Sayo opened her eyes and rubbed them as she heard the sounds of something hitting wood nearby. Turning to the side, she looked at her companion, and cold helped not only the blush, but the utter shock that came to her face just looking at his body. Naruto's shirt and tie were on the side, but looking at his toned body was nothing compared to the wounds he had. His body was well toned, his pecs were perfect, and you could cut a diamond on those six-pack abs. Across the upper part of the left side of his chest was a large jagged scar that also covered his shoulder, 3 claw-like marks on the right side of his ribs, other smaller scar littered his arms and back, but the thing that stood out the most was the tattoo across his back. It was a beautiful woman with long red hair that a yellow kimono, and several tails swishing about. The thing that stood out most were her eyes and smile, they were so warm. Beautiful, whispered Sayo, admiring the beauty of the tattoo on the blonde's back. My mother, said Naruto, hitting the tree one more time with a very sturdy stick before walking over to the stream. I'm sorry if I woke you, I normally spend my mornings working out. Sayo shook her head. No, I'm sorry, the elder of my village always told me to be polite, and I was staring at your scars and tattoo. Forgive me, Naruto, said the dark-haired beauty, bowing. Naruto chuckled. Don't worry about it, each of these scars is a reminder of a mistake I made, each is a lesson that I failed to learn the easy way, said Naruto, putting his hand over the scar on his arm. What about this one? Asked Sayo, pointing to the scar on his arm. Naruto smiled before placing his hand on the scar. I got this one from, started Naruto, only to stop and grab his sword. The story will have to wait, we have company. Sayo looked around, but didn't see anything. This was what nearly cost her her life, had it not been for Naruto appearing before her and slashing a spider that was the size of a wolf in two. Grabbing up a pair of daggers, she turned her back to Naruto. Already she was counting the number of spiders in the area, a grand total of 19 of the large breed surrounded them. Great spiders. There must be a nest nearby as well as a mother, said Sayo, her eyes darting between the danger beasts. Naruto narrowed his eyes. This is going to be a pain in the ass, said Naruto, slowly releasing his aura but keeping his blade at the ready. As the large red eyes of the spiders glared down at a potential meal, a clicking was heard from one of the spiders. The others looked at it before slowly backing down. As soon as the last one was out of the area, Naruto sheathed his sword before he threw on his shirt and tie. Sayo let out a breath as she fell to her knees. She had encountered the beasts of the north and knew that a danger beast was still an animal, and their survival instincts outweighed their desire to kill humans. What happened? Asked Sayo, looking for any signs that the spiders were still watching. Naruto looked at her. I released my killing intent into the air. They were only alpha-class danger beasts, but they were quite a few of them. Had they attacked, I would have had a hard time killing them, said Naruto. Sayo looked at Naruto with a frown. Are you that weak that a bunch of great spiders would give you trouble? Asked Sayo. Naruto looked at her before tilting his head. It's the opposite really. I would have had to hold back a great deal of power to deal with them safely. Also, had I killed them, I would have had to take time out of getting to the capital to deal with the mother spider. Even if she was a super class, I would have killed her easily enough. No, I want to avoid as much fighting as possible. At least until I get to the capital, said Naruto. Why? Asked Sayo. That's the one thing I'm not willing to talk about, said Naruto. Sayo glared at the blonde as he was gathered his stuff and began to walk away. She found herself drawn to the mystery that was Uzumaki Naruto. Location. Capital. Place. Western Gates. Time. A week later. Sayo sighed as they finally made it to the capital of the empire. Over the course of the last week, they had been attacked by danger beasts ranging from regular all the way up to super, and while they were easily dealt with, finding a stream or river to be able to clean up was a bit of a hassle. Looking at her companion, she saw that he was a bit subdued. All the way he was like a bright beacon in the dark, but the closer they got to the capital, the dimmer the light got. Finally they approached the gate where a few guards were waiting. There were still a few people in front of them. Naruto put his hand on Seo's shoulder. Listen to me very carefully, Seo. No matter what happens, no matter what anyone tells you, no matter what anyone does to you, do not lose your cool and stay by my side, said Naruto, being as serious as he can be. What? I refuse to allow somebody to touch me as they please, whispered Seo harshly to her companion. Naruto narrowed his eyes. As much as you hate it, broad daylight is the safest time here. During the twilight, night, and early morning hours are the times you want to avoid. They won't try anything unless you're alone with them. Look to the left and at the door inside the wall's tunnels, said Naruto. Seo did as he said, and her eyes were drawn to the door as it closed. Two women walked out followed by a gang of men. The older of the two women looked around 40, but still had a figure and beauty. The woman next to her couldn't have been older than 14 or 15. Both women looked like they were on the verge of crying, while the men looked quite satiated. Seo wrapped her arms around herself. Rape was a fate worse than death for men and women alike, and to know that it happened not 30 feet from her was more than terrifying. It brought her to the edge of despair itself. Stay close to me, I will protect you with my life, Seo, whispered Naruto. Naruto and Seo were called up to the desk built into the tunnel, and Seo wanted to so badly cover her nose and avert her eyes. Sitting at the entrance desk was a pig of a man. He was short and stubby, but round like a hog, greasy black hair, warts all over his face, wearing an police uniform. This made Seo edge closer to Naruto, with the way she was being eyed up by the guards. She instinctively grabbed Naruto's arm. Naruto's eyes darted to Seo but didn't comment. He could feel the fear of the unknown rolling off of her. What can I do for such a lovely couple? Asked the man eyeing Seo. My fiancé and I are here on behalf of my mother to conduct business here in the capital, said Naruto. Oh, and who exactly is your mother? Asked the guard. I'm sorry, but that is family business. All I need is to get inside along with my fiancé, said Naruto, pushing a bag of coins across the table. The guard picked it up and weighted it in his hands, before smiling a truly disgusting smile that made Seo cringe. Such a person didn't deserve to live in her eyes. Tatsumi, Ieyasu, and herself had repelled several bandit groups, even going as far to kill several people who tried to destroy their village. Go right ahead and go in, sir, and mom, have a nice stay in the imperial capital, said the guard. Naruto put his arm around Seo's waist and walked her past the guards, though the more than 50-foot-long tunnel, all the while ignoring the corruption that was going on around them. Location: Imperial Capital. Place: Lower City Inn. Time: late night. After spending the day finding an inn and searching the area for information, Naruto and Seo ran across the wanted posters of the city. Several of them were names, but they all had one thing in common: the word assassin. Naruto took his katana and Seo's blades before he began to sharpen them. He knew that blades were not the girl's specialty. Her legs were strong, and her fingers were scared. She needed a bow, or at least a really powerful tengu. The only one he could think of was the Artemis bow that was inside of the palace, out of the 108 tengu CREATED-1. From the last report he had, only 48 were currently in the Empire's possession, 15 were destroyed beyond use, and the rest were lost in the Great War over 50 years ago. His father, Emperor Minato, had managed to secure 30 of those during his reign as emperor. At the time the corruption was kept in the shadows of the empire, and Minato allowed it to pass, as even the vast army couldn't monitor the entire empire for black markets. It was when Minato's health started to fail that the problems arose. His elder siblings began to fight over who would become the next emperor, while the ministers fought a war of shadows and backroom politics to become the prime minister and right hand of the next emperor. Naruto ignored all of this, at least until he started to become involved with the most powerful general in the empire. Naruto was knocked out of his thoughts as he was sent into the wall. Naruto jumped up and glared at Seo. Her fist was smoking as she looked at the man with an annoyed glare. What the hell was that for you, she-devil? Yelled Naruto, getting in her face. I was calling you for the better part of an hour, and you seemed to be ignoring me. You shouldn't ignore a lady, said Seo. Naruto glared at her. Bitch, said Naruto. Seo glared at Naruto. How rude. Didn't your mother ever teach you any manners? Yelled Seo, getting into Naruto's face. If it looks like a duck and it quacks like a duck, yelled the blonde. Before anything more could come from the argument, terrified yelling could be heard from the bottom stairs. Naruto grabbed his sword and slid it in his belt. Seo took her daggers and followed Naruto out of the room. Once out of the room they saw the source of the noise. It was a group of officers. They were about 8 of them, but 2 of them caught Naruto's eye. A male captain and a female lieutenant. The male stood at 61 with red hair. He wore the silver and black armor. That's not what Naruto was looking at though. The man was in position of a green bow with 3 strings and a blade on both ends, while the woman had just a green sword hilt with 3 swirls on it attached to her arm. Naruto groaned. Great, said Naruto as he began to walk down the stairs. What's wrong? Asked Seo, looking at Naruto. Those two have Artemis Bow and Fujin, the sword of the wind, those are two of the upper tier Tengu. This actually makes things a bit easier, at least I don't have to break into the palace, said Naruto. The soldiers were pretty much ignoring Naruto as he walked up to them. One soldier was holding a woman, he was groaning her breasts, and his hand was under her dress, she was trying to fight him off. Naruto walked up behind him and tapped the man on his shoulder. The man turned to Naruto with a glare. "What do you want, buddy? Can't you see that I'm busy?" asked the man. "Air cutter," said Naruto, making a slashing motion with his hand, unleashing a slight gust of wind. The gust intensely removed the man's head and made the woman scream and made the soldiers jump up. Naruto looked at the people as they began to leave the inn, hoping to avoid the fight about to come. "You're going to pay for killing him," yelled one of the soldiers, only to stop as he looked into Naruto's eyes. "What the hell? Why can't I move?" asked the man, shaking. "What you have encountered is power that can't be denied by someone with no will of his own and only the desire to follow," said Naruto. "Stand down, man. Lieutenant Ann and I will handle this man," said the captain, drawing his bow. "You got it, Captain John," said Anna, pulling Fujin and summoning a green blade that was a good 26 inches long. "Before we do this you all need to know something," said Naruto, putting his hand on his katana. "My name is Uzumaki Naruto, of the coastal island noble family Uzumaki. My mother is the late guardian noble of the crown, Kushina Uzumaki. I am the 9th prince of the empire, Naruto Uzumaki, the exiled prince. In the new world I am known as the King of Wrath. The former vice-captain of the Whitebeard pirates." Naruto drew his katana and rushed Anna in a quick draw slash. Anna blocked the attack with ease, but Anna was shocked when her blade didn't cut Naruto's sword. Growling in the back of her throat, Anna increased the length of the blade and forced it to bend to cut Naruto. Naruto jumped back, avoiding the blade, before he was forced to block a uppercut from the captain using the bow as brass knuckles. Naruto twisted and lashed out with a punch. Anna saw this as a chance to cut his arm clean off and attacked. Naruto glared at the woman as the blade hit his skin, but didn't cut. Shocked by this, the woman leaped back to get her ground. Naruto sighed in utter annoyance. Tigu were weapons that had tremendous power and could easily destroy a city in the right hands. The fact that Fujin, the blade of wind, was in the hands of a weakling was disappointing. His father would be so disappointed. "Why won't my blade cut you?" yelled the woman. "The bug stands before a hawk, White Wind fear," yelled Naruto, slashing upwards and into Anna's chest. Anna's eyes widened as her life's blood drained from her body. Unable to move, she saw the eyes of the man who killed her. The last thought to cross her mind was devil. "Anna!" yelled John, aiming his bow at Naruto. 100 shots. Naruto looked at the bow before running to the wall and jumping off of it as John released the strings, firing off 100 energy bolts. Naruto twisted his body, avoiding the attacks before sailing past John and taking his head in the process. Landing on the ground, Naruto flicked his blade, removing the blood of his enemy. "Monster!" yelled the sergeant of the group, raising his rifle. "You killed the captain and lieutenant," yelled the man. "Such arrogant pests," said Naruto, sheathing his sword as a sphere of air appeared in his hand. "You're not worthy to die by my sword, Sayo. You might want to get behind the bar. This is going to be a bit messy." Air bomb. Sayo jumped behind the bar as what sounded like wind sucking everything into a core. The police yelled in terror, trying to get Naruto to stop. What sounded next nearly made the young beauty go deaf as an explosion of air tore through the bar. After a few minutes, the rushing wind stopped. Sayo got up from behind the desk and cold hold in her stomach contents at the sight of what she saw. The walls were painted red with blood, body parts were all over the place, and in the center of the bloodbath was Naruto, clean of any blood. Naruto looked around before finding what he was looking for. Picking up the bow and blade, he set the blade on his waist before walking over to Sayo. "Here, this bow will be of use to you, Hawkeye's Wrath. Artemis bow, you'll be much stronger than you are now to use it to its full poetical. Also know this, if you take this weapon you may become a target for the empire," said Naruto, holding the bow out. Sayo looked at the bow before taking it. "Then I guess I'm a target," said Sayo. "Then let us leave this place. It's be a bad thing if we stayed here," said Naruto, walking to the room. Sayo looked at the bow before clutching it in her hand. "With this I'll protect everyone," thought Sayo as she rushed upstairs to pack. Location: Imperial capital. Place: streets. Time: late at night. Sayo sat against a building with a blanket wrapped around her and her head leaning on Naruto's shoulder. Naruto was still up, keeping watch for them. He knew that soldiers and gangsters roamed the streets at night. The only difference between them is that one had the backing of the minister. No, even then the gangs of the city had the backing of oneist. The thumping of a riding carriage was upon Naruto's ears as it passed them by, only to back up. The door opened and a brown-haired young man jumped out. He wasn't very tall, maybe 57, and even if he was young for his age, he had quite bit of power if Naruto was reading his body right. Green eyes filled with innocence and the naivety of a child, wearing a yellow sweater over a white button-up shirt. Green pants and a pair of boots, across his back was a sword. "Sayo," yelled the young man. Seo's eyes widened before she jumped up. Tatsumi, yelled Seo, hugging the young man. She pulled back from him and smiled. I'm so glad you're safe and sound. Naruto stood and dusted off his pants. So you're one of her friends, huh? Asked Naruto, moving forward and holding out his hand. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, nice to meet you, Tatsumi. Tatsumi moved from the girl before smiling. Nice to meet you as well, and thank you for being with Seo, she can be such a pain sometimes. Naruto smirked. Don't I know it, said Naruto, only to get punched by Seo. What the hell, she devil. Why, your friends are quite lively, Tatsumi-kun, said a girl getting out of the carriage. Naruto turned to her and instantly felt something was off about this girl. She was quite beautiful and dressed as if she was a noble, but she smelled all wrong. She smelled like many people had died around her the wrong way. Blood, sickness, starvation, death, all these things came off the girl strongly. Well, Grace and Seo is my friend, but the man I just met this moment, apparently he helped my friend out a lot. Seo has always been like a sister to me, said Tatsumi. 1. Grace looked at Naruto and began to radiate lust. What a kind man you are, father would love to hear about you, said Grace as she allowed them into the carriage. As this was happening, Naruto never let his guard down. Location: just outside the walls of the imperial capital. Place: mansion. Time: late at night. Naruto, Seo, and Tatsumi stood before the man and woman who were in charge of the family, while Tatsumi and Seo talked about their third friend Ieyasu. After speaking for a moment, the head of the family turned to Naruto. You look quite strong, Naruto-kun. I could put in a good word with my good friend who works in the army. Maybe you posted as a surgeon starting out, said the patriarch of the family. Naruto gave a slight bow. As much as I would enjoy that, I have a path that I need to follow. Joining the army is not part of that path, said Naruto. The mother smiled at Naruto. Well, at least stay for a few days, Naruto-kun. You must be tired, said the mother. Naruto bowed his head. Thank you, I humbly accept your offer, said Naruto. Location: Imperial City. Place: Upper City Markets. Time: 1200. Naruto stood close by as the guards and Tatsumi were basically acting as Grace's bag boys. Seo was talking with Grace and giggling. One of the guards was talking to Tatsumi as they pointed to the palace. Naruto had a pretty good idea of what he was saying. I was in the new world since I was 15, right when father died, and I had no interest in becoming a puppet for that swine of a man. Naruto-kun, yelled Grace, waving to him. The young man turned and looked at both Seo and Grace with interest as the guards and Tatsumi held in nosebleeds. Grace was dressed in an evening blue Victorine dress, while Seo was wearing a dancing kimono. How do we look? Asked Grace, striking a pose, again the scent of lust strong on her. They're both quite beautiful, said Naruto, walking up to them, and if I could take any women as wives, it'd be you two, said the red-haired young man, kissing both on the cheek. Naruto had to stop himself from throwing up as he tasted Grace's flesh. It tasted rotten, like the rest of the empire. Later that night, Naruto was jolted from his sleep by a strong smell of copper in the air. Getting out of bed dressed only in his pants and a black muscle shirt, he grabbed the hilt of Fujin and his katana before running out into the hall. As he did, he looked out the window and saw 5 figures standing on wires. With the red moonlight, Naruto could easily make them out. On the far left was a girl who looked to be about 17 and stood at 51, long hot pink hair tied into 2 ponytails, pink eyes narrowed, was wearing an all-pink dress with a shoulder cape, with black stockings with white trim on her boots. In her arms was a weapon Naruto knew well, pumpkin, the rifle that got stronger the more dangerous the situation. On the far right was a woman who stood at 57 with a build that easily marked her as a pure brawler and at least D-cup breasts, amber eyes filled with mischievous intent. Her hair was long and a sandy blonde, 2 feline-like ears on her head, and paws on instead of hands. She was dressed rather loosely, if the black tube top, white pull-on sleeves, black combat boots, and hot pants said anything, white pants exposing her inner thighs. On the inner right was a young man who appeared to be about the same age as the girl with the blonde hair, standing at 59 in a lanky build, green hair that was swept over his left eye hiding his face and green eyes, wearing a green jacket, white V-neck shirt, blue jean pants, and sneakers. Added to his hands appeared to be gloves that had several wires which he now saw that the others were standing on coming out of it. In the center was a person that appeared to be a Hulk-like figure standing at 61, thanks to the white jacket and armored shoulders, Naruto could barely tell what he looked like. Finally was the girl that truly caught Naruto's eye. She stood at 54 with large C-cup breasts, just slightly bigger than Seo's, long silken black hair that flowed like a river of darkness down to her knees, dark red eyes that didn't seem to have any emotion in them, wearing a dark sleeveless mini dress with a white collar, a red tie with a round clip on it, a red belt with a red armor cover on the left side that held her katana, black knee-high socks and black shoes. Over her clothes she wore a black coat that went to her knees. "Became," said Naruto as she jumped off the wires followed by the Hulk and began to dispatch the guards with the ease of a trained killer. Naruto quickly ran out of the house and followed after Sayo and Tatsumi. As they followed the guard who had Grace with him, Naruto jumped backwards as the Hulk appeared before him wielding a massive spear. "You're not a target, but I can't let you go any further, young man," said the hulking brute. Naruto drew his katana and held it low at his side. "Out of my way, my friends are in danger," said Naruto. The Hulk spun the spear in the air. "If your friend is that girl, then I have to stop you," said the Hulk. "That girl is no friend of mine, she is far too closely related to the corruption in the capital. I'm talking about the country kids," said Naruto. The hulking man put his spear away. "Then we might have more in common than you think." "Ieyasu!" yelled Sayo off in the distance. "Sayo!" yelled Naruto before charging into the area that housed a storage shed. Upon entering the area he saw Sayo holding a dead body crying over it. Tatsumi was walking up to Grace before cutting her in half. Naruto walked over to the group with the others close behind him. "Mission complete, we need to leave the area," said Leon with a smile. "We can't, they've seen our faces," said Akame, her mind completely focused on the mission. "You can relax, Akame, I have no interest in your little group, but neither will I join you, after all you do work for Night Raid," said Naruto, his eyes narrowing. Akame turned to Naruto and her eyes widened. "Naruto-sama," said Akame, shocking everyone there. "Wait, you know this man?" asked the pink-haired girl. "He was a member of the assassination corps in the same group as me, his skills with a sword surpassed even my own, and he didn't even use a Tigu," said Akame, biting her lip as she looked at her old friend. "She's not the only one who remembers you," said Lubbock, jumping off of the wire and recalling them. "It's been a long time, my old friend, how was the new world?" "Lubbock, it has been a while, you've lost muscle mass," said Naruto. "I see you've done well for yourself, Lieutenant. How is Najenda doing? Last time I saw you asked me to keep something a secret." Lubbock narrowed his eyes as he blushed. "Don't try me, old friend, you're not an assassination corps member, and I no longer serve the Empire, we're both way different than we used to be. I might cut you up just for trying me," said Lubbock as the grinding of his wires could be heard. Naruto smirked. "Been a while since we spared, although this might lead to one of our deaths," said Naruto, putting his hand on his katana. "Lubbock, you can't win this fight, besides the mission is complete," said Akame. Lubbock sighed. "Fine, I'd rather not try you anyway, Uzumaki, unless I have to," said Lubbock. "Handsome, we can't let you go freely," said the blonde lion lady. "Leon, it's okay," said Lubbock in a rare show of being serious. "Hess no friend of the current empire, that's for sure." Naruto turned to leave. "Anyway, I have things to do. Tatsumi, Sayo, I won't force you to follow me, every person has a path that they must follow," said Naruto. Tatsumi clutched his fist. "I'm sorry, Naruto-san, but if these people can make a difference in this world so people like Ieyasu won't die, then I'll do that I can to make it happen," yelled Tatsumi, looking at Naruto. Naruto smiled before handing Fujin to Tatsumi. "You have a lot to learn, Tatsumi, but I personally like the things you stand for. Use that blade and grow strong. I have a feeling that you will be able to use it like no one else," said Naruto as he began to walk away. "Wait, Naruto," yelled Sayo, running after Naruto only to stop and look at Tatsumi. "I'm sorry, Tatsumi, but I have my own path to follow. My path is with Naruto." Tatsumi smiled at Sayo. "It's okay, we'll meet again soon, Sayo," said Tatsumi as he and the members of Night Raid took off in another direction. Sayo followed after Naruto only to stop in front of the manor. She looked at the man as he pulled back his fist. "Many people died here the wrong way. With this I declare the birth of a new organization that will free the empire from the grip of onist. Burning west winds," yelled Naruto, throwing his fist forward, unleashing a powerful wind blast from the fist. Sayo had to cover her eyes as all the cold air was instantly replaced by desert-like heat as the dry wood of the manor home caught fire. As the manor slowly burned, she looked at the man who did the deed and saw in his eyes that he was just getting started. Captain Orge found slashed to bits close to the red light district. This is believed to be the work of the notorious assassination group known as Night Raid. Captain ORGE-42 was a decorated member of the Imperial Police Force. Due to his death, the Imperial Police Force, as well as the Royal Guard, have opened positions in order to make up for the recent death. The grand total of 1,000 police have been brought to the force. Also, Captain Ogre's personal student, Seryu, 19, at the behest of Prime Minister Honest, has been promoted to captain within her police division. "Well, this isn't good, anyone who won his sponsors probably isn't too trustworthy, on top of that she must be quite deadly," said Naruto, throwing the paper up and grabbing an arrow and throwing it away. Sayo came out of the tree she was in before trying to kick Naruto. Naruto caught her leg before grabbing her by the front of her kimono and slamming her into the ground. Sayo gasped in pain before she rolled over and coughed. She kicked up and made a knife fly out of her now-healed boots. Naruto moved his head as Sayo managed to get onto her hands and began to spin kick at Naruto. Naruto moved backwards as Sayo flipped over and drew her bowstrings back. "Homing scatter," yelled Sayo, unleashing the bowstring as the arrow broke into 20 shots. Naruto jumped as the attacks looked to hit the ground. until they came up and at Naruto, the red-haired man took his still-sheathed katana and began batting the bolts away. Hitting the ground he looked at Sayo. I didn't realize that Yao developed a new attack, you're quite the scary woman, and Yao've taken to wearing the heeled boots with knives hidden inside the heel, said Naruto. Our shot. Yelled Sayo ignoring Naruto's praise, even if it did make her blush, releasing the bow and energy arrow shot at Naruto at a speed that would have made lesser people afraid, apart from that it was tearing up everything in its wake. Naruto moved slightly to the right avoiding the attack, so a power attack huh? Aside from the scatter and rapid fire that you were able to create that makes 3, on top of your skills in hand-to-hand combat you've become a decent fighter, said Naruto. Thank you Naruto, said Sayo as she sat on the ground panting. Unfortunately you still can't use them back to back, we need to work on your stamina, that's enough training for today though, go take a bath and relax, I'll get dinner ready, said Naruto. Sayo nodded and began to make her way to the place that had become their home, it also served as their base of operation. The Shuren had once been home to the Empire's strongest spirit monks, who were the highest level of authority when it came to matters of the spirits, that was no longer the case, the order became defunct nearly 10 years ago. It was Naruto's eldest sibling who had pulled the plug, the temple was built into the western mountains, in a place that was once called the Heaven's Grove, at the base of what was maybe 200 steps, was what had once been a large compound that housed close to 100 people, surrounded by 50-foot walls, 3 large gardens, a sand garden, a vegetable garden, and a specialized garden for poisons. With only Naruto, Sayo, and his 2 younger cousins living there and cleaning up the place they had taken the west wing, since it was the one that was in the best shape, after 4 days of cleaning the place was decent enough to live in, at the top of the stairs was a traditional temple, it was actually 3 buildings, a main temple, a side meditation temple, and a small dojo. The best part was that the place was located next to a natural spring, 1. Sayo made her way to the springs after returning to her room and gathering supplies to wash herself with. As she made her way to the springs she passed Naruto who was already cooking, he apparently captured a rare evil bird and was already grilling it up, it would take several hours for the meat to set just right before they could eat it. But evil bird was one of the most tasty things to eat after training. Apparently Naruto planned to take out Makoto his younger brother and install a new system, a system that was made for the people and not power-hungry fools, a system that would see that the emperor ruled, but officials elected by the people had the ear of the emperor or whatever Naruto planned to install in its place. She did believe in Naruto's cause and wanted to help him as best she could. Opening the door to the springs she was greeted by one of the only other 2 people who lived here, sitting in the bath was one of the guardian Uzumaki and Naruto's distant cousin, Taiya Uzumaki. Taiya stood at 51 with a decent body that made many people wish that she wasn't a shrine maiden of the guardian family, pinkish red hair that fell to the middle of her back. Normally she walked around the temple in a tan Kyuupao fighting dress, black shorts and boots, she had a weapon, but Sayo had yet to see it. Taiya picked her head up from the heated rocks and looked at Sayo, well if it isn't Nai-sama's pet bitch, said Taiya with a smirk. Sayo's eye twitched, the foul-mouthed one is in a good mood I see, said Sayo firing back at. Taiya smirked, Nai-sama is cooking, hell yeah I'm in a good mood. Hess the best cook out of the 4 of us, said Taiya. Sayo took a seat in the water, so where's your counterpart? Karen-chan if I remember right. Asked Sayo. She got a summons to Edding Tides, it's a 2 days trip by rail system, something about the spirits being out of place or something, she should be back within a week, said Taiya leaning back. No wonder I haven't seen her for a few days, said Sayo leaning back to rest herself. Place. Kitchen. Time. Same time. Naruto finished boiling the rice and the bird was almost done, taking a few plates he set them on the banister, as well as a bowl of milk, walking away from the bowl he took a seat at the counter. You can come out now, I know you're there, goddess of the flash Uruchi, wielder of the Tegu lightning cat. Ride you the beast, said Naruto looking at the seat next to him. The figure appeared holding the bowl drinking directly from it, the figure was a buxom dark-skinned woman, she stood at 58 with D possibly E-cup breasts, with legs, hips, and ass to match, milk chocolate-colored skin, purple hair that was pulled into a ponytail, yellow cat-like eyes that were playful, wearing a skin-tight black shirt with no back or shoulders, skin-tight black pants, leather boots. And wide arm and leg warmers. Uruchi grinned as she looked at Naruto, nice to see that you returned Prince Naruto, said the woman setting the bowl down, as she licked her lips. The red-haired young man sighed, sometimes I still have a hard time believing that you're the former head of the Shihoin clan, said Naruto. Thank your mother for that, being a clan head is more my brother's role, besides I always told you that you have a ninja by your side if you need one, said Uruchi winking at her friend. I don't recall asking for you to come to my side Uruchi, said Naruto putting some rice on his plate. The bad, I met Karen, and she told me what you're doing and it's about damn time, said Yuruchi, losing her playfulness. The Shihoin clan has become nothing but Oneist's personal assassins and have killed their fair share of officials that didn't agree with Oneist. My little brother is doing all he can to make sure that they don't fall too far into darkness, but Hess having a hard time. Not to mention that the clan elders have been going behind my brother's back, selling out services to others who think like Oneist, like we were common thugs for hire. Okay, what high-ranking officials are we talking about? Asked Naruto. Yuruchi pulled out a notebook. It was maybe 200 pages. Before she opened it up, there's Captain Ethan of the North Police Garrison and his two guards, Lieutenant Arnold and Sergeant Rachel. Both are experts in hand-to-hand and swordsmanship. However, Ethan holds a Tigu, the impenetrable shield. Aegis. Both of them have inflated egos and have no problem using the funds from their garrisons on earthly pleasures. Arnold frequents a brothel near the upper districts, has also been known to kill women. Once it's confirmed that he was the one who got them pregnant. His last confirmed kill count was 29. Rachel is another mess. She's killed kids in broad daylight for just asking a bit of food from her. Said Yuruchi, closing the book. Naruto looked at her with a bit of suspension. Why isn't Night Raid on top of this if they're so bad? Asked Naruto. Mostly because they supply the Revolution Army with information while keeping their own misdeeds a secret. Several people stay off of the radar like this. The rebels in charge are willing to look the other way, since the people providing information are on the lower tier of what things they need to go on before the empire can be reformed, said Yuruchi, crossing her arms. On top of that, 75% of the funding comes from a rival country. Naruto closed his eyes as he began to take in all this information. To many factors, not only are our generals and high-ranking officials raging a civil war, but thanks to this rival county they're essentially traitors as well. Well, have to pick up the slack where Night Raid is failing, since Arnold and Rachel are pretty asses, but nowhere near the top of the hit list. I guess we'll deal with them ourselves, said Naruto, retrieving his katana. The two-man mission? Asked Yuruchi as she quickly slipped on a ring with a cat head and two lightning bolts on the side. What about your new girlfriend? Hey, I can play with her for a while. My cousin might be a shrine maiden, but her skills in combat are top level among the clan. Yuruchi smirked. This is going to be fun, said the woman as they walked out of the temple and vanished into the darkness. Hey, Nai-sama. You done cooking? Asked Taya, popping her head into the room wearing only a towel. Location: Imperial Capital. Place: Red Light District. Time: 21:30. Lieutenant Arnold was a young man from a minor noble family. He was an average man, with the only real difference being that the scar that went from the middle of his forehead to his jaw, sitting next to him, was his second-in-command Rachel. Rachel was a beautiful woman with auburn hair. Arnold jumped slightly before his hand shot down and pulled the whore who had been sucking his dick off of him. He threw her into a table beside them before getting up and beginning to stomp on her head. You stupid bitch. How dare you scrape my family jewels with your dirty teeth, yelled Arnold with a crazed look in his eyes. Rachel moaned as she pulled the head of the woman who was licking her cunt up. Hey boss, maybe you should settle down, said Rachel. Arnold stopped stomping on the now dead whore before sitting on the couch. The only woman who I ever had any intention of marrying was married that bastard noble from the Vesser family, said Arnold. Rachel moved the woman away from her lower bits before turning to her friend with a smirk. Just talk to honest, said Rachel. Arnold smirked as well. Maybe, but the bribe to have the bastard killed will be a few thousand gold, said Arnold. The bad you're going to die here, said a figure from the bar. He wore a white fox mask with orange lining. You two ended up on our hit list, said a rather buxom woman wearing a cat mask with purple markings. Rachel and Arnold jumped up and grabbed their weapons. Arnold pulled his shield up and Fox narrowed his eyes. It was fully rounded with a woman's head on the front with snakes for hair. He knew this shield well as its trump card. Fox hoped that he wouldn't have to use his own trump card to kill the man. Who are you two? Asked Rachel, putting her hand on her sword. The front of the bar exploded as Arnold locked his shield with Fox's sword. Fox disengaged before jumping into the air and pulling his arm back as he charged energy into it. White noise, yelled Fox, throwing his arm out, unleashing a blast of wind. Stone freeze, yelled Arnold, holding Argies up as the eyes opened up, emitting a green light. Fox vanished and appeared in another area as the building behind him turned to stone. Landing on the building, he wasn't surprised to see Kat appear next to him, but was when he saw Rachel come out of the bar with a bladed whip in her hand. The weapon had 8 sections, with the weapon being about 9 feet long. Rachel clicked a button making it retract. What is that? Asked Naruto. It's not a Tigu, but it's not a normal weapon either. The blades are from a super-class beast, said Kat, looking at the blade. Fox put his hand on his chin. My sister was experimenting with recreating the Tigu project. I'm not surprised that she partially succeeded. Now we have to be careful, said Fox. Rachel swung her blade, and it extended nearly 30 feet and slammed into the building separating the two. Kat turned her hand into lightning as she vanished and reappeared behind Rachel and stuck her hand into her chest. Rachel yelled in pain as her heart burst. Kat withdrew her hand and turned to look at Fox as he kept slashing at the shield. Arnold blocked easy enough as he threw Fox off. Fox landed on the ground and looked at the man. Kat sat on the building. "Hurry up, Fox, I want to get something to eat," said Kat. "You're quite strong, normally it'd have already killed you," said Arnold, grinning at having such a powerful enemy to test himself. Fox rubbed his head. "Really? Personally, I could have killed you several times already. I've counted 20 opening in your defense that I could easily exploit. The only reason I haven't killed you yet is because I wanted to test something," said Fox, sheathing his sword. "Oh? Then what is this?" asked Arnold, gritting his teeth. Fox put his hand on his mask and removed it, revealing his face, and opened his left eye. "This unlimited blade works," yelled Fox as their eyes met. Arnold felt a strong thumping in his chest as he looked into the eye of his enemy for the first time. A swirling orb of red, purple, and black surrounded them. Flashes of light appeared all around the orb. Not even a minute later the orb vanished, and laying on the ground in a pool of blood with multiple slashes, stabbed, and missing limbs was Arnold, with Fox being unharmed with a shield slung across his back. "Fox!" yelled Kat as she charged over to her friend and put her hands on his shoulders. "Are you alright?" Fox panted before slowly standing up. "So that's what 10% feels like. I need to be careful," said Fox before turning to Kat. "Let's go before the police show up." The two vanished into the night, leaving 2 dead bodies. Several hours would pass before the police showed up along with 2 more people of interest. The first was one of Honest's men. He wasn't very tall, maybe 411 and puggy, balding with the old man cut, wearing the green robes that all ministers wore. He was the vice minister of the castle protection. The woman next to him was quite a beauty, and many men wanted her to lay with him. She was quite tall compared to other women in the empire, standing at nearly 58, slender woman with D-cup breasts in her early 30s. She has green eyes and ankle-length auburn hair styled into a herringbone pattern at the back, a top knot tied with a dark blue band, and with 4 bangs at the front. 2 bangs are short, with one covering her right eye, and 2 are long, crossing each other on her bust, just below her chin. She wears a long-sleeved dark blue dress that folds just below the knees. It seems to be closed at the front with a zipper, and is kept open on the front right side from the waist down. The dress only covers up to the upper part of her arms and the underside of her breasts. Underneath, she wears a mesh armor that covers slightly more of her upper body than her dress. She also wears a skirt in the same color as her dress, and, underneath those, mesh leggings reaching down over her knees, around her waist. She wears a belt with a pouch attached to the back on the left, along with high-heeled sandals and shin guards reaching up over her knees, dark blue polish on her fingers and toes, and is usually seen wearing purple lipstick. This was first princess, and the eldest child of the deceased emperor. She was also a noble from the southern borders of the empire. Finally, she was dedicated recreating her ancestors' Tigu project. That was her goal. Her dream was something else entirely. Walking forward, she picked up one of her failed projects. "So what is the status report, Arkin-san?" asked May as she examined the weapon she would have to reinforce. "Well, May-sama, it's clear to me that this was the work of Night Raid," said Arkin. May smiled. "You're wrong," said May. "The witnesses claim that the 2 assailants wore masks. From what I heard, there are 4 known members of Night Raid: Sheila the broken-minded woman, Akame the red-eyed demon, Bulet the 100-man slayer, and Agenda the fallen general. None of them wear masks. Also, it is well known what their weapons are. The girl died by having her body electrocuted. While the good captain was cut to pieces. I say that this was quite a fight if the buildings could tell stories." "Insightful as always, milady," said a figure appearing behind her in a mist. He was a middle-aged man with blue hair which is styled in a moused-up manner. His left eye was blue, and his right eye was covered with an eye patch. He wore a talisman in each ear with the kanji for a humble form of Tahir, SHMUKETAMAW, written on them twice on each side. He also wore the standard striped grey turtleneck shirt. But the green haori that had white trimmings that stop halfway down, over them, brown pants. "Ow, what did you find?" asked May. Ao got down to one knee. "Not much, milady, however I did find traces of energy where Arnold died. It was like hockey, only more potent and focused," said Ao, getting up. "Hockey? The only place you even remotely find that kind of power is the New World on the Grand Line," said May, walking closer to Ao. The police officer snorted. "Hockey? Please, you're just trying to curry favor with May-sama," said the officer. Ao narrowed his single eye as he reached for his eye patch, only to stop and smirk. "I have no reason to lie to the woman whose family I have served since I was a boy, but you don't have to worry about favor because you're dead." Before the man could say anything he found his head separated from his body. As his head turned in air, he looked at the monster that he didn't hear, a rather short young man standing at 55 with a small body frame, has short, tufty blue hair and dark eyes. He also has pointed, shark-like teeth. He wears square, black-rimmed glasses connected to ear protectors. A blue pin-striped shirt and camouflage patterned pants. Across his back was a massive sword, with two handles connected by a chain. In his hand was a short sword. "I'm sorry, Soldier-san," said the boy as he brought his head up and glared at everyone, "but no one insults Mei-sama Rao-sensei and lives. Don't apologize, Mei-sama's honor is more important than any man. Keep that information in the back of your mind, keep this kind of work up, and I might manage to turn you into a man among men yet," said Ao, patting his student's shoulder. "Well, Ao," said this Mei, heard maid of honor and man for marriage. "Ao," said Mei, gaining the attention of the two men, "say that again and I'll kill you," said Mei with a sweet smile. Ao gulped and knew that if he said another word for the next 5 minutes he would be a dead man. Mei got up and turned to Akrin. "Submit my report to Honest. I have to follow up on another lead," said Mei as she and her two top guards began to leave. "Still looking for your brother, Mei-sama. So guys, I stop here, thanks for watching."